Three, two, one, and we're live.
Welcome to Tactical Mortgage Talk, or TMT. I am Tom Stearns, sitting here with my co-anchor, as always, Mr. Brad Stinson.
What up, Tommy?
How are we doing, brother? We're here on New Year's Eve, man. Still knocking it out. Wanted to kind of wrap 2018 and get fired up for what's going to happen in 2019 and our mission of things that we're going to do. Obviously our mission with doing all this was, as we say every time we have a cast, is that, our goal is about our veterans for our veterans, right?
Absolutely. And trying to identify more nonprofits and get more involved with the veteran world, because us veterans never know our benefits. We never know what's available to us. And there needs to be some sort of conduit in which unites the tribe.
Yeah.
And what better people than us?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm continually blown away every day more and more of the things that are happening to our veterans and how they're being taken advantage of in the home loan process. And, not to get off topic, but I spoke with a woman that is moving back to the U.S. that was working with one of the big four that is charging her $17,000 in closing costs.
17,000.
17 grand.
Let me guess, the loan amount was probably under 200,000 too.
Yeah, it's like 225 actually.
Yeah, so there's no. Sadly, it happens more often than not.
And the sad part is she is this isn't the sad part. The sad part is what she's being taken advantage of. But she is an extremely disabled veteran, and it took a lot out of her just trying to get her paperwork together to send to this lender. And I put everything together, was saving her $11,000 plus in closing costs, and she still decided to go with them because she didn't want to get all the paperwork again.
Oh, that's the frustrating part, because, even there's this news article in Bloomsburg, which I'm pulling up right now on my phone, and these shady assholes talk about how they're going to make so much money on VA cash out refinances. It's like, always do what's right for the veteran, you ass bags.
Yeah. It's sad. I couldn't. It was the first time that I was let down, because I couldn't help this woman. I absolutely couldn't help this woman. And also, I'll say this too. We can talk about our 2019 mission, but this week, or actually last week, I had a Tidewater situation, and I called the real estate agents to let them know that we had Tidewater, and one of the agents told me that there's nothing wrong with the property, meaning she thought there was a repair. After she told me she's been in the business for 17 years and I know what I'm doing, young man, which was a nice compliment. I'll take that. At this point, being 42, called the young man. That's fine. So neither one of them knew what Tidewater was. And and it blew me away. And when I asked for their 3 best comps, the listing agent sent me 2.
Well, then how did you list the price? Or how did you list the property? How did you come to your listing price?
Well, the kiss of death, that one word that we all hate to hear, is the property is unique. So now, surprisingly enough, this morning I did get the addendum, and because the appraisal did come in $9,000 low after Tidewater, rightfully so. The value is just not there.
Okay.
The seller came down, and they're going to do the deal. So
that's awesome.
We still got a win in the big W for our veteran. Just got a house $9,000 cheaper. So
yeah, well, that's great. If you don't know anything about the VA appraisal process, It's Tidewater is the appraiser is reaching out to all involved parties trying to get help to get to the value, because when they come out, they can't establish it.
Right.
So Tidewater is actually a good thing, not a bad thing.
Yeah.
So if that seller did not want to come down in price, is the veteran stuck paying the $9,000
No.
difference? No,
No.
because there's one more step in which you can get your value back.
Right.
Which only 2% of all failed Tidewaters go to. It's called the reconsideration of value.
Yep.
And that is done through the VA. So I've actually done 2, and I've won both of them.
Nice.
Which is fantastic. You get your property value back, or you get a chunk of it knocked off. In my case, each time they met in the middle.
Okay.
So one of them was $9,000, $10,000. They met, they came up 5,000.
That's great.
Roger that.
Yeah.
Seller's more likely to decrease 5,000 than 10.
Yeah.
Right. And the other one it was split in the middle again, but it was only like $5,000. So $2,500, but still it was split in the middle trying to get veterans in the homes.
It's awesome.
It's fantastic.
Awesome.
But nobody knows that.
Nobody knows that. And you and I both well know that there is no other loan program that even allows a 2 chance to reconsider value at all.
And there's no other loan program that allows you to influence the value of the property, period.
I mean, when I hear VA appraisals are the worst, I'm just like, okay, well, this is going to be a fun one because you have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I'm here to help you.
I got I've been in the business for 32 years. I took a VA offer in 1988. And I have never accepted one since. Like, oh my God. Okay. All right. This is going to be fun.
Yeah.
But we closed that one in under contract. Well, we closed it in 23 days. And everything went smoothly. We closed it before the contract date, and this dude still was just a clown through the whole thing. Wow. He just didn't believe what was happening.
Yeah.
Like, well, you need to get out of the business, sir.
Yeah, I had a big win this week. We just did a VA loan. It's closing on Friday. Closing disclosure goes out today. Did it in 13 days. Technically 14, but you take Christmas out of that. We did it in 13 days.
Nice.
And
Are these
seller,
calendar days?
Calendar days.
Yeah, so there's a big difference between calendar and business days.
Yeah. No, 13 calendar days.
That's awesome, man.
And the seller is a huge builder that, as you well know, has taken me a year to acquire to get their business. So they're blown away.
Awesome.
Absolutely blown away. And no better raving fan for a builder than the builder themselves.
Yeah. A builder's never going to talk bad about themselves.
No. Yeah. And he even asked me, you sure you don't want 45 days? And I said, I'm going to do this in 22. So, I'm really excited, and I'm super excited for this Marine. I can't wait to go to the closing. It's going to be a special closing. This is something that, he went through some tough times in a tough divorce, and, hasn't had a home of his own in 8 years. So this is
awesome.
Just incredibly passionate. I literally speak to this guy 4 times a day, and it's what makes doing what we do so special, because this guy, I mean, it's life-changing for him. It'll be life-changing for him.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a few other things that we want to talk about. I know we kind of got off topic a little bit, but
yeah,
it's all good. We've gone off topic way worse.
Yeah, right. And it's clean.
Yeah.
It's been clean. So
well, I dropped a couple swear words, but they're not the bad swear words, so we're okay.
Right. You're good. You're good. You're good. It's the end of 2018. Let's talk about 2019.
Yeah. Well, 2018 was a fantastic year for me personally, I think. I really found my way as being a VA loan specialist, and really coming to terms with what pimping out my time in service. I know it's a hard thing for a lot of veterans to get over, because you don't want to use your time in service as like a pitch.
Yeah, to make money, in other words.
Yeah, and it's very difficult because it's still struggle to this day. I still hate being acknowledged, being a veteran. You know, if there's any veterans in the crowd, can you please stand so we can acknowledge you?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
you know, it's hard, but
The thing is I don't know when you say you
Yeah.
know, because I don't. You know, my struggle, obviously, as you know, is different. But,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I think it's awesome, man. I'm super proud of you. I'm glad to see where you've come and how your business has come full circle. I think, it's great that you're with Andrew Paul and back at Benchmark. I think it's awesome, man. I'm excited. I'm excited to be working with you again to, you know, just what we've accomplished in the Q4, the end of 2018 with putting this cast together and reconnecting, man. It's awesome. It's been awesome. And I know 2019 is going to be something special.
yeah, it's going to be, we're going to blow it out of the water.
Yeah, we are. Yes, we are.
We put together a business plan. I know I put together my own personal one. Tom has put together his own personal one. And together we're going to teach 36 classes.
36.
Because of the lack of education around the VA home loan.
Yeah, it gets me so juiced to think about doing 36 classes.
Yeah,
like, one, I love to speak. I love to speak to people in our industry. And you know what? I don't care if it's our competitors. Because it's for the greater good.
Yep.
You know, and if we teach our competitors how to do VA loans better, I'm cool with that. Because that means that a veteran is being served the right way.
Correct.
The correct way they should.
Yeah.
Right? And
nothing peeves me more than hearing these horror stories from other lenders.
Yeah.
You know, especially the local ones that all they have to do is just pick up the phone and call me.
Right.
Or PM on Facebook or email or whatever. There's so many ways to get a hold of me, but they're so prideful that they're just not gonna.
Right.
You know, it drives me nuts.
That's what I think is so special about this is because the different things that we've shared from, you know, stories of scenarios that you've had, scenarios that I've had. I mean, you know, one of the big ones that for me this year was the fact that we could do the VA loan in commercial property, zone commercial. Never knew that. And I'm willing to tell people, hey, I don't know what I don't know, you know, but if I can learn and grow, all the better.
Yes.
That's what I'm about. And the best thing about us and our team and the people that we have behind us, right, is the knowledge that we have, the connections that we have at the RLC, you know, or the MLOs, our underwriting staff, all the way up to the owners of the company. I mean, I've never had that. I've never worked anywhere where I have that. And to have that and to have them on board with the Never Quit mission.
Yeah, that is awesome. That is honestly the best part is, you know, having the captains of the ship so involved and so gung ho on the mission. It's can't beat it, man.
Nope.
You know,
you can't. 36 classes. Let's talk about 36 classes, though.
All right, 36 classes.
So Brad and I are going to hit the road, and we're going to be teaching classes from literally St. Joe to Kalamazoo. We might, or St. Joe to Traverse City.
Yep.
And looks like we might be able to be getting into some Indiana areas as well with the builder relationship that we've created, and just to go out there, it excites the shit out of me.
Yeah.
There you go. I swear.
Whoa, naughty. Sorry, John.
But it does. It does, man. I'm so excited and passionate for what we're doing right now. As you know, we've talked numerous times. It's recharged me in a 21-year career, but I'm so excited to get out there and help people learn, because I believe wholeheartedly that this is game-changing, life-changing for our veterans.
Absolutely. It is life-changing 100%. Like every single veteran that you talk to talks about purchasing a home and how important it is for them. You know, from a personal standpoint, I know it affected me tremendously.
Right.
You know, it really allowed me to transition home and be home and actually enjoy life again.
Yeah.
You know, other veterans may not feel that way. They may feel totally different, but it's no matter how you look at it, it changes their life.
Yep.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, it changes anybody's life to buy a home. But as we know, I feel as though it changes a veteran's life that much more. Because it gives them roots, right?
Yep. And it gives them a chance to mentally be stable.
Right. Right. So I want to encourage those folks that listen to our cast, that
all 19 of them.
All 19 of them. But you know what? We're going to quadruple that. At least. But at least. We know you're out there. And in the 19 that we know that you know someone that needs Brad and I to come talk to them.
Yep.
And that's really weird.
So the class that Tom and I were going to teach is from Military Mortgage Boot Camp.
Yeah.
It is a 3-hour con ed class. You get elective credit for it. We bust 6 of the most common VA home loan myths out there. You know what those myths are? 0 down equals weak buyer. Credit underwriting.
It's the toughest out there.
Yep. Harder to close, take longer to close.
Right.
My personal favorite, the one that I've owned and made my bitch in 2018, is seller has to pay for the veteran's fees. Number 5, you can only have 1 VA loan in your lifetime or 1 at a time.
And number 6,
the killer of them all, right?
Most difficult,
the big daddy. The VA appraisal is tougher, right? So we bust those, and then throughout that whole 3-hour class, I tell my personal transition and how I try to paint a picture of how to deal with how a veteran thinks and how they feel. Right. So I can help agents relate to veterans and just help them grow their business by serving more veterans, because a lot of people are just afraid to talk to veterans.
Right. Which I think is great. And why I think it's what's awesome about us teaming up and doing that is there's that piece of it that those folks don't know, right? I've got to experience a lot more of it doing this with you, working with veterans. But the part that I feel that allow us to help them grow even more is from a standpoint of, hey, I've worked with you folks in this industry for 21 years, and let me guess, this is probably what you're thinking, right? Or this is probably the way that you've done this on this transaction. Or let's talk about other financing types. Not saying I do, but I'm pretty sure I know them all. There's not that many out there anymore. But, and why VA for the veteran is better than, say, USDA.
Yeah.
Not a bad product. And I'll say this too. I do not believe at all, and I will go round and round with anyone, I don't believe there's a bad program for any person. I think there's the wrong program for the wrong borrower.
Yep.
Period. And you can even go into subprime, and I won't get down that road, but there were subprime products that were the right product for the right borrower. And we can get that down that road, and I've gone round and round with people about that. But it's all about the right product for the right person.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's your fiduciary responsibility.
It is. It absolutely is. So 36 classes on the road. It's going to be a ton of fun. I'm super excited for it. Super excited
and
for it.
And we're going to do WIMLAR. They're going to have a reoccurring role in this.
WIMLAR, GCAR, and KZoo.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully we get into some of the Traverse City and Indiana markets, as well as the seminars that we're doing that are for all those board agents, realtors, or builders that can come out to the ones that we're not doing at, say, for instance, WIMLAR.
Yep, correct. So we have 36 classes. We're planning on teaching 2 realtors. Me personally, I am diving into the veteran realm and doing direct to veterans home buying seminars, if you will. I taught my first one up in Traverse in October. I have another one coming up in January 18th, with a guy that I know who's a veteran who's been a huge advocate up there. Excellent. And once I nail that one, which I have very little doubt that I won't nail it, just because of the fact that I've taught tons of classes, and I know how to present to people and how to resonate with them. It's not cocky. It's confidence.
Oh, it's confidence. Yeah, absolutely. Difference between confidence and arrogance.
So once that class goes off, then I'll know more. I'll have more details for us and how we can actively attack up there, because they need help.
Ironically, last week the Marine that I closed was in Traverse City.
Awesome.
24 days too.
Nice
Calendar.
Because Ben Williams is the guy that I'm teaming up with up there.
Yeah.
And he was breaking down his market up there and how little the VA home loan is used.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you need help, bro. Let's do this. So
it's crazy.
New active AO is Traverse City.
Nice.
Absolutely. But
which is really what I'm doing in Kalamazoo.
Yep.
What I've brought to Kalamazoo.
Yep.
And I mean, already for January we have 4 VAs under contract in Kalamazoo.
Nice.
So
and we also have veteran classes. They're not veteran classes, but veteran get-togethers.
Yeah.
Coming up too. So once a quarter, we're planning on doing veteran mixers, if you will. Identify veteran-owned businesses, and invite them and veterans out. Just meeting face-to-face, shaking hands,
kissing babies, petting puppies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be huge because, there's a lot of people that are doing fantastic things, but they're in small pods and they're all over the place, and very few of them are able to actually put things out on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube or anything like that. So if we can help unite the tribes,
which is the mission of why we're doing what we're doing, right? Is to help those nonprofits, in essence, and they don't have to be nonprofits, but could be the veteran-owned businesses.
Correct.
One of the things that we're going to do with the builder in Kalamazoo is a young veterans networking night once a month at one of their spec houses, and encourage those folks to come out and have wine and cheese or beer and cheese or water and cheese.
Veterans don't go for wine and cheese.
Their wives do, though. And who decides what house they're buying, really?
That's true. So yeah, I mean, that's on tap for 2019 for us, along with some events that we're attending and some events that are going on.
Yeah,
right?
Some special events. Let's talk about the first one, April 17th and 18th. It's a benchmark event.
The most patriotic day in Texas.
Yeah.
That says a lot.
Does say a lot. That was an event that was started by our 3 owners and Chris Kyle.
And Andrew Paul.
Yeah. And that is Bootin' Shootin'.
Yes.
In Dallas, Texas, the Dallas Gun Club.
Yes, and some random hotel usually.
Yeah. Right.
And we say random because every year it gets bigger and bigger.
Right.
And it's getting harder and harder to find a place to accommodate so many people.
Right.
Because the night before is a live auction, private dinner, and private concert.
Yep.
And when you and I went that first year, I think collectively that first item that went up, which was a Pudge jersey, right?
Right. It was like $6,000.
Yeah. Well, I think you and I both said, well, if it's like $500, maybe we'll place a bid right here, And they opened it up with $2,500, and we're like, whoa!
Like, okay.
And that was the cheapest item.
Yeah. Right. Okay. And then, I think I bought three or four coins, challenge coins or memorative coins for $1,000.
Yeah. Like what?
Yeah. Actually, there you go. Bootin' and shooting right there.
Yeah, show to the camera.
That was 2017 right there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Every year they do about 3 or 4 coins, and it's usually
they had special operations.
Yeah, they had the Texas police force, Dallas force. It was right after the shootings.
Yep.
So I think the coolest thing was when they honored a veteran.
Yeah.
That was so cool. Chris, so this whole thing started in 2012, I believe. And then the following year, Chris Kyle was murdered.
Yes.
So they decided to honor Chris's legacy.
Yeah.
And every year since, they find a veteran, they identify a veteran, they honor their sacrifice or whatever the story, right? Yeah. The year that we went was Mansour.
Yep.
And that was an incredible story. But when you drive into that down that stretch of driveway through the, down to the gun club, those towering banners that they have of every, it's like, oh my, like I get chills right now thinking about it. I mean, it's just like, it just takes your breath away. It's like, holy shit. And these things are attached to light poles. So they're 45 feet or more in height. And it just lines the entire gun club. It's like, this gets pretty badass. Yeah.
And if you've never been to an event like that, it is moving.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely it is.
I mean, to meet Teakai was pretty awesome to me. You know, to meet her with my wife, to hear her speak, was incredible. And I love, one of the things she put out this year that really just touched me was when she said, she's had to see so much pain and heartache in her life to see how amazing we as a country and Americans are. And I was like, it just blew me away.
That's the nail on the head right there. I mean, think back to 9/11.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that day sucked for everybody. That day changed everybody's life forever. Think about 9/12. How many flags did you see everywhere?
Right.
How many patriots did you see everywhere?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So 9/12 was one of the most patriotic days ever. Mm-hmm. And it took 2 planes crashing into the World Trade Center.
Yeah.
For that to happen. So, I mean, in adversity, Americans rise. It should not be because of the adversity. It should be something we live every day.
And I would say now more than ever, I mean, I'm assuming you're going to agree that our country has been more patriotic and veteran friendly as far as supporting our veterans now more than ever.
Yes. I mean, it's complete night and day since Vietnam.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Well, that's my point.
Yeah. But it's almost gone in true typical fashion, swing the pendulum from one end of the spectrum to the other. Yeah. Now you have a lot of people that are taking advantage of veterans.
Yeah.
Right. Trying to make $3 out of a penny.
Yeah. They put out their fancy commercials and talk about how wonderful they are. And
led by Rear Admiral.
Yeah.
That's infuriating. But our country as a whole, yes, I 100% agree that, we are absolutely more patriotic now than we've ever been. But I should have muted that. My fault, listeners. If you're still listening.
Wake up.
Hello. No, but we are more patriotic as a whole, and that's awesome. There's a lot of great things coming out of very small pods throughout the country. And, like I was saying before, there needs to be a uniting force, a conduit. And that's what I hope we can bring on this podcast and on my podcast personally as well. Just identifying the resources and, trying to provide the truth to our veterans, because we need to do it for them.
Agreed.
So what else we got on tap for 2019, man?
VA lending conference.
Yeah, that's such a fun time. You get to hear straight from the VA the new updates to the rules and guidelines to the
26-7,
the VA lender handbook.
Yeah.
So you can imagine just how ridiculously boring it is. If you read the VA lender handbook, it reads over like a lead balloon. It's very vague, and you read it 5 times and you're like, what in the hell are they saying here? Then you come up
title work.
Yeah. You read it over and you're like, well, there's that it's saying this, so that means it could be this, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this. But there's a reason for it. Like I just encountered bankruptcy, Chapter 13. Okay, Chapter 13 is where the the courts consolidate all your debts into one monthly payment. So it's an attempt to repay all your debts.
Correct.
Okay. You cannot incur more debts, but you can aggressively pay them off.
Right.
Okay. So typically with a bankruptcy, you have to wait 2 years. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's a lender overlay because according to the VA handbook, it's 1 year, Right. So Chapter 13 states if there's 12 consistent repayments, a lender can give considerable or favorable consideration. What the hell is what? How favorable are we?
Right.
Right. It's like that's the vagueness of it, right? So if pretty much what I gathered is this: if the veteran can go to the judge or the magistrate or the adjunct and get the okay to open up a new line of debt, then we as lenders can gather the story. And if the story is compelling enough, such as, I was going through a divorce and this was happening, if we can build that case, then we can provide the financing. Well, okay. Like that makes a little bit more sense than favorable consideration.
Right. And it goes to say in our last podcast with, the man, the myth, and legend, Mr. David Garrett.
Gremlin. Yep.
The Gremlin, who's the head of our VA underwriting and leads the team in our VA underwriting, is that if the story makes sense and you can't destroy the deal or kill it, then you should do it.
Yeah.
Right? And if it makes sense and there's reasonable documentation that falls within that guidance, then you have a doable loan.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that's, one of the things I think we touched on it last week. Our underwriting is straight to the VA guidelines.
Yeah. Which
is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's huge.
We have very little overlays.
Yeah. Zero, basically.
Well, just the FICO.
Yeah.
Because the VA does not require a FICO score. But every lender across the country requires a FICO score. Minimum.
And I actually have one that we're doing without a FICO score.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you can prove payment of either utilities, 12 to 24 months.
Yeah, actually.
Obviously, the more the better.
In my case, it's a new one of the ones for next month, actually moving back from Canada. So we had to get an international credit report to show that there wasn't any bad debt or any bad payments. There was none, actually. And then we just had to get a VOR, or verification of rent, for those non-mortgage folks out there, to show that she's made her rent on time for the last 2 years because she has no FICO score on the United States credit report because she hasn't lived in our country for 10 years.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. And never quit.
Right. Again.
Benchmark never quits.
Never quits. Never quits.
So that's the mindset. If you never quit on the VA home loan, there will always be a way.
Always.
You can find a way.
Yeah. Always.
And most of the time, when people quit on the VA home loan, it's because of the FICO score. From my experience.
Or, I look at I look at colleagues in our industry. They quit on the VA loan because they have to work harder.
That too. Because they're not in it all the time. I mean, it goes back to podcast number 4 with AP.
Yeah.
Right? It's the 4 or 5 VA home loans originated throughout the entire year from this killer loan officer.
Right.
Right? So if you're not in it every day, those guidelines become real hazy. Right? And it's not anybody's fault. It's just, can you tell me how you overcame a problem in May? Just in your life in general. Like how did you overcome the fact that, I don't know, how did you fix a leaking pipe?
Right.
Like if you're not doing it every day,
right.
It's not natural, and we get it.
Right. Consistency with everything and anything that I think you do, life, spiritually, mentally, physically. It's consistency, lending, VA lending, consistency.
Correct. So the VA conference, it's we were dying last year because they had the first day was welcome, and they kind of went over some new updates and things, and then that night was a welcome party, right? So free booze and you name it, right?
Right.
So the next morning, they opened it off with a valuation officer. That was smart. You want to talk about, so a valuation officer is the head of appraisals, right? So they started it off with financial stuff. So it was also accounting and the valuation, so it's like, oh my God, you guys, like this is actually really important, crucial stuff, but you can't start off with this.
Really?
But, overall it was awesome. It's awesome to make those connections with the VA themselves, straight from the horse's mouth. So, I mean, if there's things that come up, me personally, even before I came over to, back to Benchmark, I have people that I can call, email, text message, and say, hey, this is how I interpret this. Is this true?
Yeah.
Like that. One of the nights we were there, I sat down with 3 of the LPOs. And I ran a scenario by them that I was dealing with. A Marine was incarcerated for the last 20 years. I could not prove 2 years of job history because he was incarcerated for 20 years. He's been out for a year and a half. He has a job history for a year and a half. That's what I have.
Right.
But DU was telling me I needed 2 years of job history. Well, what the hell do I do?
Right.
Most of the companies that he worked for in the late 90s are no longer around. And if they were, how the hell do you find any sort of employment records or documents from there? It was
good luck.
Yeah, exactly. So they pointed out, they're like, well, he's kind of a janitor right now, right? I was like, yeah. He's like, for the last 20 years, he did not do anything janitorial when he was incarcerated. It's like,
gotcha.
Check.
Roger that.
Yeah. It's like, okay, well, inmates get tasked with certain jobs and they get paid for it, but they get paid like pennies.
Right.
3 pennies an hour.
Right.
Right.
Or did you get a VOR from the corrections officer?
No. What ended up happening is we lost Tidewater. And he didn't have the funds to make it up. And if I went to the ROV level, it still wouldn't have mattered.
Okay.
All right. So we had to walk. Right. But it was like, I got it straight from them.
Wow.
That's powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Huge. Like, holy crap.
Right.
I never even thought of that, but those are the nuggets that come out.
That's awesome.
And they all gave me their card at the, during that time. And they're like, if you need anything, send us a message.
That's awesome. It's awesome. I'm excited to go.
Yeah.
It'll be great.
Absolutely.
It'd be great to get, I love Boot and Shoot and these different events that we do because it's awesome to see all of our team members from around the country.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you start right where you left off.
And your batteries get recharged too.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's insane. Like, it's insane how fired up I am when I come back from these things. Because you just get all these different ideas, like, because I always have ideas swirling around in my dome. I just need that one word, and it just all stops and locks, and boom, it comes out. It's like, oh man, let's do this, let's rock.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the Boot and Shoot and the VA conference are back-to-back weeks,
right?
Both down in Texas.
Our wives will love us.
Yeah, and I think there's a holiday in there, Easter.
Yeah.
So, sorry, we're celebrating when I get back. Because, if you think about it, it doesn't make any sense to fly home for 2 days and turn around and fly back.
No.
So, it's more realistic to fly down to Dallas, rent a car, and then drive down to San Antonio.
Yeah.
Then, do two one-way flights versus two round trips.
Road trip. It's a road trip.
So the only tricky part is going to be trying to figure out where to do our laundry at.
Yeah. It's got to be a base somewhere, right? Can't you
there's
somewhere?
Yeah, there are some bases down there, and I have I know a lot of people that I served with that live down there, so probably have a place to stay.
Awesome.
Not worried about it. So what else are we talking about, man?
92 for 22.
92 for 22. These guys are awesome. Their event's coming up in April. The same week we're going to be gone. So unfortunately, I cannot walk the 92 miles.
Right.
Damn. I died at the 13.5 mile, but the pain, everything was so worth it.
Yeah. 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 I mean, you know, when the J nominated me for the 22 push-up, man, that was like I said, you know, doing the 22 push-ups every single day for the veterans for 22 days, in memory of those 22 veterans that take their lives per day. That was, I mean, that touched me, man. And the response and the private messages that I received from a couple different veterans really blew me away. And so, I think this is awesome. I think it's awesome.
92 for 22 is a local nonprofit veteran organization that brings attention and awareness to the 22 that take their own life and PTSD.
Yep.
And they're founded by Marines, whole group of them, whole slew of them. I got connected with them through my recruiter who recruited me into the Marine Corps. And I immediately got involved and helped them overcome a lot of the things that I overcame as a loan officer. Because as a loan officer, you're essentially a small business owner.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of things that I overcame to become automated and digital and help them promote their 22K walk that was coming up. My whole goal throughout that whole thing was to stop traffic. I wanted enough people to stop traffic.
Yeah.
Because we walked from the Allendale Family Fair to the Brands on Leonard Street. Allendale Family Fair, Allendale, down to Brands on Leonard Street. 22 kilometers or 13 something miles. Might be 14, I don't know. But we walked down Lake Michigan Drive, and there was just a herd of red and American flags. And it was phenomenal to see. Then we crossed Lake Michigan Drive at Colville.
Okay.
We stopped traffic. I mean, we stopped traffic for a long time. Okay. Which was, dude, I was pumped. I was juiced. Okay.
Yeah.
And then from there, we stopped traffic all the way down Leonard at every cross street. So we had police and we had the Leathernecks motorcycle club come out, and they were stopping traffic at every street. It was awesome, man.
That's cool.
It was so badass. So, and all the storefront owners on Leonard were coming out, and they're like, what is this about? What is this about? And every car that stopped, they would stick their head out. They're like, hey, what's going on? You know, so we brought awareness that day. We brought it like you wouldn't believe. The 92 mile walk, I don't believe is going to have as many participants, because a lot of people think that if you sign up for it, you have to walk the full 92. You don't have to walk the full 92. Right. There was kids of all ages involved with the 22 kilometer walk, and we stopped probably, I would say we stopped every 3 kilometers.
Okay.
You know, and there was volunteers there that had orange slices and Gatorades and waters and food, and then, you know, med stations to heal, you know, cover up your blisters, which I had my whole foot, both feet were covered in blisters.
Because you boys walked in your boots, didn't you?
I walked in my boots. I don't know how those things are so damn uncomfortable now. But they were so comfortable back then. I don't know. Whatever. But
did you do it in your boots again?
Yep. Absolutely. I would just wear different socks, I think. You know, okay. No, I look back at it and I'm like, why did I wear those socks? I should have wore those socks. But I'm definitely going to walk with a backpack too.
Okay.
You know, just because.
Why not?
Yeah. But they're 20.
You can put some weight in there. We can put 22 pounds in that backpack.
Yeah. Well, I'll put 22 pounds of Monster. How about that?
There we go. I'll carry another 22 Monster.
Actually, dude, a Camelback. A Camelback full of Monster. There we go. there we go. No, but their 92 mile walk is coming up, and they need sponsors, they need volunteers, and they need participants.
Yeah, and we'll help bring awareness to that with this.
Absolutely. So that's coming up. I got to touch base with them to see when we can get them on the podcast, when we can do some commercials so we can blast it all over Facebook. But that organization, they're great people. They're great dudes. They're all combat veterans themselves. So we've kind of all just rallied together and, bring the cause, bring the fight to the streets here in West Michigan, and let's do it.
But also going to get our my good friend, female VA not underwriter, appraiser on the cast.
VA approved appraiser.
Yep. She'll share some awesome insight with us, so that'll be great as well.
And Jake Schick and I have been playing phone tag, I guess, if you will.
And who is he?
Jake Schick is the president CEO of 22 Kill. 22 Kill is a national veteran suicide PTSD awareness.
We met them at Boot and Shoot.
Yep. And he's a Marine. So his story is phenomenal. Like his story, Jocko podcast number 122, I believe.
Okay.
He tells his story in detail. It's about a 4-hour Jocko podcast, which is actually short for Jocko standards. But those 3 podcasts, so podcast 120, 121, and 122, I believe, are the numbers. Jocko talks about PTSD, suicide, and how veterans deal with it. Right. So he tells the story of Chesty Puller. Yeah. Chesty Puller is the Marine of Marines. This guy this guy is just a god to us. I mean, we, as a joke now, we still tell Chesty Puller good night wherever you are. And for 90 straight days of boot camp, you did the same. So Chesty is a god to Marines. He started off as a private, retired as a general. Wow. So he to say he went through the ranks is an understatement. 5 Navy Crosses, which is a Navy Cross is the number 2 medal that a person can earn. Number 1 is the Medal of Honor. So he earned 5 of them. World War I, World War II, Korea. He served in some other conflicts throughout there. I mean, this guy was battle tested hero.
Yeah.
So he starts off by that podcast. Podcast number 2 is Chesty's son, who enlisted in the Marine Corps during Vietnam. Okay. Chesty's son was not Chesty. And that he talks about that. Like he felt he had to live up to his dad's legend.
Yeah.
So he ended up stepping on a landmine, and he lost both legs and both arms. And I believe the Metallica song "One" is about him.
Okay.
But I could be wrong on that. But check the stats, I guess. I don't know.
Google it.
But he ended up taking his own life. So he tied it all in with Jake Schick, and his story, and how Jake lost his leg and part of his arm, and how Jake battled addiction and how he overcame it. And he found it. Well, he didn't found it. He became a part of 22 Kill, and they've just taken it to a whole nother level.
It's awesome.
And that's what those 3 podcasts are about.
That's awesome. It's good stuff.
So hopefully we can get Jake on here, because I respect the hell out of him for A, being a Marine, and B, his story is a lot like mine. Just I have both arms and both legs, so it made me realize that I was being a bitch. Quit being a little bitch and just do it. Do something, Yeah. So that's to come as well.
Good. Well, good stuff, man. I think it's a great place for us to wrap. You?
Absolutely.
All right. So for all the listeners for 2018, we want to thank you for being a part of this. We look forward to your continued support in 2019. My name's Tom Stearns. I am a VA Home Loan Specialist, a veteran advocate, certified trainer for military mortgage boot camp. As you know, Brad is a United States Marine Corps veteran, certified trainer for military mortgage boot camp as well. Huge veteran advocate. We look forward to kicking ass in 2019. We are going to crush it. I'm looking forward to many more, my friend.
Absolutely. And I'm going to wrap with this. David Goggins' new book.
Yeah.
David Goggins is considered to be the toughest man alive. He's calloused his mind to not feel pain. He went through 3 buds.
Yeah,
hell weeks.
Buds, yeah.
3 hell weeks in buds. He graduated Air Force paratrooper school, and Army Ranger school.
Yeah.
He was kicked out of Delta Force training because he got too cocky, so he says. But what helped him condition his mind is the thought process of crushing souls. I was like, this is perfect, man. All right, so my motto going into 2019 is #crush2019, #crushing souls. And this came directly from Goggins, because crushing souls is all about taking your haters' hate and burning it as fuel to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
Therefore, crushing their soul.
Well, my favorite quote says, "I'm coming for everything they said I couldn't have."
Yep. So
But
crushing souls.
Let's reference that book, Goggins' new book.
Yeah.
That you're talking about.
Yeah. I can put it. I'll put it in the podcast
Okay.
description, because it's a phenomenal book.
Yeah, check it out.
Yep. So let's get after it, man. Appreciate
brother.
it. Crush 2019. Crush souls.
Amen, bro.
All right. We're out of here. Thanks, guys.